What if I told you that you've been learning English the wrong way? I know it sounds a little bit crazy. You've probably spent hours and hours studying grammar, memorizing verb conjugations, and repeating words from a textbook. But what if the secret to fluency isn't in a classroom, but in a book you might already have on your shelf? And not just any book, one of the most famous and widely read books in history. Think about it. We all want to speak English naturally, to understand native speakers without having to translate every single word in our heads. We want our conversations to flow effortlessly. But how do we get there? The traditional method often leaves us with a lot of knowledge but no real-world application. We can pass a test, but we freeze up when we try to have a simple chat. So what if there was a single source, a treasure trove of phrases and expressions that could not only boost your vocabulary but also teach you the rhythm and the heart of the English language, the kind of English that feels alive and authentic? Well, that source exists, and today we're going to unlock it together. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have a completely new perspective on how to master English. Have you ever noticed how many English phrases you hear every day come from the Bible? You might not even realize it. Phrases like a leopard can't change its spots, an eye for an eye, or the root of the problem are so common that they're just part of our daily language. But they all originated from this one ancient text. It's like a secret code embedded in modern English. We're going to explore this hidden connection and show you how understanding these origins will make your English sound more natural and sophisticated. It's not about religion. It's about language. It's about tapping into a rich history that has shaped the way millions of people communicate every day. We'll start with some of the most basic and common phrases. Take my brother's keeper, for example. When someone says, "Am I my brother's keeper?" they're not asking a literal question. They're expressing a moral obligation to care for someone else, to look out for them. This phrase comes directly from the story of Cain and Abel in the book of Genesis. By learning this, you're not just learning a phrase. You're learning its context, its nuance, and its emotional weight. This is how you go from speaking English to truly asterisk the language. If you're finding this fascinating, make sure you hit that like button to help more people discover this incredible connection. Now let's look at another one. Turn the other cheek. This one is famous, but do you know what it really means? It doesn't mean you should literally let someone hit you again. It's about not seeking revenge, about responding to aggression with kindness and grace. It comes from the Sermon on the Mount, a famous part of the Gospels. When you use this phrase, you're not just saying, "I'm not going to retaliate." You're evoking a deep-seated cultural idea of forgiveness. Think about the power of that. It adds so much more meaning to your words. Then there's the salt of the earth. This phrase describes someone who is a good, decent, and honest person. It's a high compliment. This comes from another part of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus tells his followers that they are the salt of the earth, because salt was a valuable commodity, used for both flavor and preservation. When you call someone the salt of the earth, you're saying they are fundamentally good and essential. These aren't just phrases, they're cultural touchstones. And learning them helps you connect with English speakers on a much deeper level. Moving on, let's tackle a more dramatic phrase, the writing on the wall. Imagine you're at a company, and everyone knows a project is failing, but no one wants to say it out loud. You could say, "The writing is on the wall." Disaster is inevitable, and the signs are clear, even if no one is acknowledging them. This phrase has a fascinating backstory from the book of Daniel, where a mysterious hand appears and writes a cryptic message on a wall during a great feast, foretelling the end of a king's reign. Another powerful one is "Let there be light." You've heard this in movies and on TV shows, right? When a new idea is born or a solution is found, someone might exclaim, "Let there be light." This is a direct quote from the very first book of the Bible, Genesis, describing the creation of the world. It's a phrase of pure creation and revelation. It shows that learning English isn't just about vocabulary. It's about understanding the stories and history behind the words. And what about scapegoat? This word is used all the time. A scapegoat is a person who is blamed for the mistakes or failures of others, often unfairly. You'll hear this in news reports, in political commentary, and in business meetings. The term originates from a ritual described in the book of Leviticus, where a goat was symbolically loaded with the sins of the people and then sent into the wilderness to carry them away. It's a vivid image, isn't it? Knowing this backstory helps you see why the word is so powerful and why it's used so often. Another great one is forbidden fruit. This phrase refers to something that is desirable precisely because it is forbidden. It comes from the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and their temptation to eat from the tree of knowledge. Think about how often we use this concept in daily life. A diet you're not supposed to break, a secret you're not supposed to tell. It's all forbidden fruit. By the way, if you're enjoying this lesson, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next video. We're building a community of English learners just like you. Let's dive into some phrases that describe human nature. Leading the blind is one you've probably heard. It describes a situation where an incompetent person is giving guidance to other people who are also incompetent, leading to a bad outcome for everyone. This comes from a parable in the Gospels. It's a perfect example of how a simple phrase can paint a complete picture of a complex situation. When you use this phrase, you're not just talking. You're telling a story. And what about eat, drink, and be merry? You hear this at parties and celebrations all the time. It means to enjoy life and celebrate while you can. This phrase comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, and it reflects a certain worldview. It's not just a casual suggestion. It's a piece of ancient wisdom that has been passed down for thousands of years. Think of how much more authentic you'll sound when you can use these phrases with confidence and understanding. Finally, let's explore some phrases that are a bit more philosophical. The 11th hour refers to the last possible moment, just before it's too late. You might say, "He got the project done at the 11th hour." This phrase comes from a parable about workers who were hired at different times of the day, but all received the same wage, even the ones who started at the very last hour. It's a perfect phrase for describing a last-minute scramble. And for our final phrase, let's consider "by the skin of my teeth." This one is used to describe a narrow escape, or just barely succeeding at something. I passed the test by the skin of my teeth, you might say. This phrase is from the book of Job, where Job describes his escape from a terrible ordeal. It's a very vivid, almost poetic phrase that paints a picture of a close call. See? English is not just a language of rules. It's a language of stories. And the more you learn these stories, the more fluent you will become.